Today, I would like to show you all about the Math 5 curriculum from Christian Light Education. I have the 10 light units here, along with the answer keys and the math reference chart. So let's go ahead and take a look. Hi everyone, welcome to our homeschool table. My name is Jerilyn. I am a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, ages 11, 4, and 2. Here on my channel, I share all about homeschool related content, so I hope that you will click that subscribe button and stick around. So I have used several of the Christian Light Education curriculums. I have used Reading 4 and 5, and then I've also used Math 4, which we started with last year. So now that we are kind of getting all finished up with Math 4, we will be moving into Math 5 starting in November. So that's what I want to show you all about today. First of all, I am going to put timestamps and chapters in this video. So if there's something that you're looking specifically for, like the answer key or the reference chart or something like that, you can quickly get to those areas. Let's go ahead and just jump right into it. I have all 10 of these light units, and I will show you inside several of them so that you can get a good idea of what they look like and how they're laid out. I will let you know that the light unit 501, or the first one in this level, is mostly just review, and so I'll show you the way that's laid out. I also have the answer keys instead of the full teacher's editions, and the reason for that is because in the past when I've used other subjects like reading, I didn't really find myself using the instructor's guide very much, and so I figured that since the teaching of the math is right here in the book, that was sufficient and that this would provide all the answers I need. These two booklets are for 501 to 505 for the first one, and then 506 to 510 for the second one, and they're laid out exactly the same. And these are about half as expensive as getting the full teacher's guide. And since the teacher's guides are pretty big and take up a lot of room on my shelf, I decided to go ahead and get this. It worked really well for us when we were doing Math 4, and so I figured it would probably work pretty well for us this year as well. So the last thing that I have here is the intermediate math reference chart for grades 5 through 8. And there is lots of really good information on this chart. And I let my daughter use this during any of her assignments or tests as well. So just a little bit of information about how these light units are laid out. Each of them have 17 lessons. So there are 170 lessons for the whole school year. And in this level, the very last lesson, lesson 17, is called Fascinating Discoveries, right here. And I actually have my daughter skip that lesson because it's kind of just for fun, like enrichment kind of activity. And since we're trying to get through this program a little bit faster, we are skipping those lessons. So with that, we do 16 lessons out of this book. So lessons 1 through 4 are new teaching. Lesson 5 is a quiz. Lesson 6 through 9 are new teaching. And then lesson 10 is a quiz. And then lessons 11 through 15 are new teaching. And lesson 16 is the unit test. Now, these little light units each have a test inside of them. It's right in the middle of the book. It looks like this. And you want to take the light unit test out of the booklet before you have your students start on the lessons. It's right in the middle of the book. It tears out very easily because it's right where the staples are put in. So it's very easy to do. I do take that out when I am going to give my daughter a new light unit. And then there are also 2 quizzes in the back. So they're right here. Quiz 1 is just a front and back page, and quiz 2 is a front and back page, and that is a full lesson. But let's go ahead and turn the camera around and look inside. So here is the first light unit, 501, and this one's a little bit different. So if you are just looking for information about the regular light units, go ahead and skip forward to light unit 502. This is the table of contents. So you'll notice here that lesson 1 is a pretest, lesson 2 is a practice set, and then a pretest. Then lesson 3 is a practice set, and then a pretest. practice set, pretest, practice set, pretest, and it just keeps going like that. So in this light unit, there are no separate quizzes because basically every lesson is a quiz to kind of see what they remember. There is a self-check for lessons 14 and 15, and then lesson 16 is the light unit test. Lesson 17 is the fascinating discoveries. This is the one that I was mentioning earlier that we skip. There are some extra activities that it might encourage your student to do. And then speed and mastery drills are at the back. I'll show you that in a moment. There's a section here to the teacher where you would want to make sure that you kind of understand how to do the program. This is something that you would want to read or have your child read so that they know how to score them and things like that. And then you're ready to go. Okay, so here is the first lesson, which starts with a pretest. So we have speed drill 1 up here. And so you would have your student flip to the back of the book. And here is where all the speed drills and mastery drills are. Now in previous levels, they just do the speed drills. Mastery drills are new in this level. And so they work a little bit differently. On a speed drill, you set a timer for 1 minute and you have your student do as many of these problems as they can in 1 minute, and then you would grade it and put how many at the top are correct. Then in this unit, they start doing these mastery drills. And this one, instead of setting a 1 minute timer, you would set a stopwatch instead, and you would see how long it took your student to do this section. So if it's just 35 seconds, you would write 35 seconds up here. If it was 1.5 minutes, you'd write 1.5 minutes. And then after you grade it, you would write how many are correct. So these are mastery drills and speed drills. And there is a speed drill or mastery drill for each lesson only through 16. So there are 17 lessons in the book, but there's only 16 speed drills. Okay, so in this particular light unit, the one that is the very first one, this is the pretest stage. You would have your child take this pretest. It would show you here how many they need right to quote unquote pass the test. Then there's fascinating discoveries. These are kind of optional activities that you can choose to have your student do or not. And then over here, when you get to day 2, you would have your child do the speed drill 2. And then you would want to consult this little area right here. It says, I passed the pretest in lesson 1. Now I will do the pretest on pages 7 and 8. And so you would turn to pages 7 and 8, which are right here, this page, and then this section at the top. You may also do extra activity 1 through 9. Or you might have this box checked. I did not pass the pretest in lesson 1. So if you did not pass the pretest in the lesson 1, you will do all of lesson 2. So what that means is you will do this practice set. So it's going to give a little bit of information about how to do these problems, kind of a little bit of reteaching from last year. And then you would work through all of these problems before you take the pretest. So basically, if you did really well on the day before's pretest, you get to skip all of the practice sets for the next lesson. So on pretest for measures, you would need 34 correct out of 38. And so just like before, if you passed the pretest in lesson 2, you just get to move on to the pretest for lesson 3. But if you did not pass the pretest in the previous lesson, then you would do this practice set again. Again, reteaching or revisiting the information. Then you would take the pretest. So it just kind of continues on like that all the way through in this light unit. It's a practice set and then a pretest, practice set and then a pretest. So those are the types of things that your student should already know before they start in this level. Last year when we did the Math 4 level, this was actually really helpful for us to kind of get started, and we used this as a daily lesson instead of kind of flying through it. This year, however, since we are just going right from level 4 to level 5 and we haven't had any break in between, we are just going to continue on and start in 502. This is what a test looks like. It's right here in the middle. So here's the test. It always has a front cover and then 2 inside pages, and then over here the back page. So that would be the light unit test. And the reason that you would want to pull that out is because it kind of disrupts the middle lesson of this booklet. So that is a little bit about the first light unit. Now let's go ahead and take a look at 502, which is the first light unit that has new teaching in it. So we will go ahead and take a little look here at the table of contents first. It's going to list out all of the things that you're going to talk about for the new teaching in this light unit. There are 15 regular lessons. Lesson 5 is a quiz. Lesson 10 is a quiz. And then the 16th lesson is the light unit test. After that, lesson 17 is fascinating discoveries, and speed and mastery drills are at the end. It gives you information over here about how to score and what all of the symbols mean. Those are really important to read through before you start. And in each light unit, there's a little bit of a story to kind of go along with it. And the reason that they do that is because it makes a little bit more sense when you're talking about the story problems and the characters in the story problems and things like that. So they just kind of have a little bit of a story format. So here is the first new lesson. And here at the very top, your child would do mastery drill number 1. So just like before, they're going to the back of the book here. I like to just keep a little sticky note over here for my daughter. And so she's going to time herself. How long does it take to do mastery drill number 1? It might take 30 seconds, it might take 25, or it may take a minute and a half. You just write in the time up here and then correct it and write how many are correct. Then you come back over to lesson 1 and we go through the lesson. Now, how I use this is my daughter and I sit down and I talk through the new information. We work on all of the practice problems and anything else that's new. So this whole section is new. Then when she turns the page and she gets to the We Remember section, that is when she starts doing the rest of it independently, because as it suggests, it's something that she already learned how to do and she's remembering it. So there's always this We Remember section and then the Skill Builders section. And these repeat pretty much the same types of problem each lesson. And I really like this because it helps her to remember how to do each of the different types of problems, and she's not having to relearn everything every time she sees a problem like that. So then we have lesson 2. So each of them have kind of a new information spread, and then the We Remember part starts, and then usually it's another spread, and that's it. So for this, it is the same way. So Mastery Drill 3, new information and practice problems, and then We Remember and Skill Builders. And Skill Builders is what it ends with. So this is just the same pattern over and over. So it is very easy to teach. And my daughter likes the repetition of the different types of problems. If this seems like a lot for your child, you could always have them just do every other one or cross sections out. But for us, this is the entire reason why we switched to Christian Light, was because of all of this skill building, mental math, and remembering. So we don't really skip any of those things. The only things that we do skip are days like this. So this is lesson 5, which is a quiz. So I would still have my daughter do the speed drill. Then she would turn into the back of her book. And these are perforated. You can take them out. I just choose to leave them in because it's not a big deal to me for her to see the quizzes. The only reason I take the test out really is because it's kind of right in the middle of a lesson. So I just make it easier for her that way. So here's quiz 1. So I would have her do that. And then you could either have your child do this fascinating discoveries section, or they could just be done at the end of the quiz. It's really up to you. So that is what a light unit looks like. And everything just kind of builds slowly so that students feel very confident and successful in their math skills. And I do have to say that my daughter has really improved in her math skills and confidence since we started math with Christian Light Education. So that was the unit test for this light unit. And then here we are at quiz number 2. So tell your teacher when you're ready for quiz 2, and then you go take the quiz, and then you can do the fascinating discoveries or not. So that is what it does through the whole entire booklet. Now I'm going to flip a little bit farther here to the very end so you can see that lesson 16 here is the light unit test. And since the light unit test is 3 pages instead of just front and back, they don't have any kind of extra activity for that day. And then 17 is the one that we normally skip. But like I said, this is enrichment. You could definitely have your kid do this section. Here is where the mastery drill and speed drill section is. My daughter really likes these. There is one difference from last year. There was like a little chart where they could track their progress of how many right they're getting and things like that. And when I showed her that they didn't have that anymore in Math 5, she was a little bit bummed that she didn't have a little progress sheet anymore. So I might make something up for her to be able to track her progress. But that is it for Light Unit 502. So now let's go ahead and talk about the answer keys. And there are 2. This one is for 501 to 505. This one is for 506 to 510. So let's look at this one first. They're all laid out the same. But here it shows you what page to go to each answer and solution key. And then it says here the quiz answer key and the test answer key are in the middle of this book as a removable insert. So just like the quizzes and tests are removable in the light units, it's also removable from this book. I don't do that. I just put a separate little sticky note in my book, but you can do it either way. It also tells you over here how to do the scoring, and then here are the answers. So I will just kind of show you a little bit. I'm not going to show you the entire book because that would be kind of silly, but you can see that they're all labeled very well. 501 lesson 5, and at the end of the 501 section here, let me show you. This is where, so after lesson 15 or 17, then they also have the answers to the extra activities and then the speed drill section or mastery drill section. So it's still 501 over here, but you can see the speed drills. And so I put a separate sticky note on this part of the answer key so that my daughter can grade her own speed drills. So I grade her assignments, but she grades her speed drills. And so these are all the speed drills for 501. Then it just goes right into 502 for all of the lessons. And then at the end of the 502 section, again, here are all of the speed drills onto this page. Okay, so then if we go, you can see right here, there's little black lines. This shows you 503, 504, and 505. But then these gray lines here in the middle, these are the quiz and test answer keys. So they're right in the middle. So you could take this whole section out right here if you wanted, and then you'd have the quiz and the test answer key here. But they're very well labeled, and so it's really easy to use. Some of the things have like worked out problems, like these over here. It'll show you all of the steps to the division so you know kind of what you're looking for. But not every problem has the solution completely done for you. Okay, so the other light unit answer key looks exactly the same. And you can see here that now the black lines are on the bottom. So we have 506, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then the tests in the middle again. So here's the test key and the quiz key. I don't know, they just make this really easy to use. So I really enjoy just using the answer key instead of the full teacher's guide. And here is the last item, which is the intermediate math reference chart. This is for grades 5 through 8. And we also have the elementary version, which is grades 2 through 6. So that is also another option. These do not come with the light units and the answer keys. You kind of piece everything together on your own, but I highly recommend getting the reference charts. So she kind of looked at this, my daughter kind of looked at this and thought, oh no, looks really hard. But I reminded her that this is for the next 4 years. So it's not like she's going to learn all this stuff tomorrow. But there's lots of good geometry, formulas, and just good reminders like how to label a ray and how to label an angle. So I think this will be really good to have. Let me just show you the elementary version. So here is the elementary math reference chart. This one is for grades 2 through 6. And this has come in really handy since my daughter started Math 4. And so there's lots of really good information on here. There's measurement in inches and in centimeters, lots of geometry and metric and US measures. So very, very helpful information on this one. So I would recommend if you're going to use this, especially over like grades 4, 5, and 6, I would probably just have both of these reference charts on hand. They're only like $3 or $4, so they're very, very reasonably priced, and I definitely recommend getting them. Well, I hope that it was helpful for you to see inside of the Math 5 program from Christian Light Education. We really enjoyed using Math 4, so I know that we will really do well with this program as well. I do plan to put out another video here pretty quickly about how I scheduled this program, along with some tips on how to implement the program that I've kind of learned over the last year or so of using Math 4. So go ahead and click that subscribe button so you don't miss that. Also, if you are watching this video in the future and I've already made that video, I'm going to link it down below for you in the description. So check that out next if you are interested in learning a little bit more. Today's emoji is going to be some sort of a math symbol or tool. So go ahead and leave those down below for me in the comments, along with anything else that you might have questions about, or if you have used this program before. Other people that watch these videos find it really helpful to learn from you in the comments. So please make sure that you leave all your best tips down there below for us. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today at our homeschool table, and we'll see you next time.